Do you see this man? Can you tell me what's wrong with this picture? At first, you might say nothing. After all, this just looks like a normal ID photo. This is Jian Ju Huan, but in this video, we're going to call him Ju. And what if I told you he had committed a crime that changed South Korea's laws on stalking forever? This is the Sindang Station case. Warning. This video contains disturbing and graphic details. If you are easily queasy, please turn off this video. Before we get into the horrific crime committed, the victim and their family have been wished to kept anonymous. The first person we will be speaking about is Jian Ju Han. We will call him Ju for this video. The second person we will be discussing in today's case, we will refer to as Miss A. She is the victim of this crime. Let's go as far back on the timeline as we can. From my research, this all starts back in 2018. Ju had just started working at the Sindang Station. If you don't know what the Sindang Station is, I'm going to put a picture up above of the map. It's a station that is on the Seoul subway line 2 and line 6. They both started working at the same time roughly. Both of them were working back in 2018. In 2019 is when Ju started contacting Miss A. When I say contacting, I do not mean a casual, hey, we work together. Would you like to go out sometime? Maybe catch some dinner? Maybe go have a cup of soju? No, it was more of a, hey, why aren't you responding to me? Hello? Why don't you want to go out with me? He had contacted her between 300 and 350 times in 3 years. On October 7th, 2021, the initial statement of Miss A suing Ju for illegally placing a camera in the women's restroom where they had worked. Miss A had discovered this during her shift and reported it to the police the next day. Police arrested Ju on October 8th, 2021, the day after Miss A made the complaint. Both Seoul Western Police Station and the prosecutor's office had requested for Ju to be arrested. While the police were investigating, Ju had just got fired from his job. However, even though the police were investigating, the Seoul Western District Court dismissed his warrant on the grounds of there is no risk of destruction or evidence of fleeing the country. It has been reported that the police personal protection was focused on the victim for a month starting October 8th, and that the personal protection was terminated at the victim's request. No restraining order or perpetrator-centered surveillance measures were implemented, and contact did not stop afterward due to the agreement. Was he going to stop after getting in trouble this time? No, because think about it logically. Why would he stop? His life is already ruined. He lost his job. The girl he wants doesn't want him back. She's suing him. Why would he stop? On January 27th, 2022, Ju was caught stalking Miss A again. He promised to prevent himself from doing it again. These are his words, and I quote, "I admit to all charges. I will not contact the victim in the future." Indicted in February on charges of violating the Special Act on the Punishment of Sexual Violent Crimes. In June, he was in, again, trouble for having possession of illegally filmed footage of the woman's restroom. After he had gotten indicted, it is said that he had continued to contact her after he was sentenced to 9 years. Ju said to Miss A, and I quote, "Are you going to ruin my life?" There was an issue connecting the crimes, so the first date scheduled for the case was September 14th, 2022. Now, before this went to court, Ju already had 2 prior convictions on file that I could find. One was for assaulting a taxi driver, and the other was for breaking a policeman's desk and or damaging public property. In 2020, there is a report of him selling pornography as well. Ju had already lost his job and was sentenced to 9 years on the morning of August 18th at his final hearing. He had lost his job, but because he was still on trial, he remained with his construction duties. He had visited where Miss A had worked and got a hold of her schedule. On September 3rd, he double-checked Miss A's work schedule through the internal network. September 14th, the day of the crime, he was seen here in CCTV footage at Miss A's old apartment, where he had mistaken another young-looking lady for Miss A. After learning her address was vacant and that she had moved somewhere else, he decided to head by each station before hers and introduced himself as the Sindang Station. I could be saying that wrong. My apologies. He said that he was a Sindang Station employee going on vacation and that he was leaving the station. Miss A's work information was confirmed at that time and reconfirmed using the terminal. After he confirmed where she was, he went straight to the Sindang Station. It was then that he had decided to kill Miss A by swinging a baseball bat inside the bathroom stall. How did she not see him, you might ask? Ju was prepared, which is why the court suggested that this was premeditated murder. He had bought a single ticket from Busan to the Sindang Station, Line 6 specifically. He then put on a disposable sanitary hat and a change of clothes. He had then waited for Miss A for about an hour and 10 minutes, preparing in advance. Take note of this. This comes in handy later. I find this odd, but when I was doing research, I came across an article from namu.wiki.com that stated that he was wearing different colored jackets. The translation was really rough, so I'm assuming the translation meant to translate to jackets, but I could be wrong on that. If I am, please tell me in the comments. I do apologize. But he had worn his clothes inside out as well. So not only did he have different colored jackets, but he also wore his clothes inside out to confuse the people at the station, which also, not to speculate, but that does sound premeditated. If anything, you don't want to get caught, so you bring some spare clothes. Like, it just seems a little shady to me. But he also had installed an app to manipulate GPS information. Now, I'm not really sure in the translation what that meant specifically according to the case. I don't know if it's speculated that he had downloaded the GPS to change his own location in case the police tried to look at his phone and see where he was at the time and day of the murder. Maybe he didn't think he was going to get caught. Maybe he wanted to ping off of her phone and hope that it changed the GPS location of her phone so that they wouldn't find her body. I really don't know. It's really unclear in this situation, unfortunately. In the police investigation, it would later be stated that Ju had said this, and I quote, Ju stated, "I had been planning the crime for a long time, and regarding my motive, I committed the crime because of the trial." End of quote. Miss A died in the hospital as the surgery was too difficult for her injuries, and she had succumbed to them. Her parents came down, and the corporation for the station is helping with the funeral costs. Miss A's uncle stated, "Even though my niece was injured to the point of death, I pressed the emergency bell to arrest the criminal. If the criminal had run away, how much investigative power would have been wasted?" In the substantive examination of the warrant, Ju had claimed to the police and the court that he had not planned the crime for a long time, and that the reason he had wore a shower cap at the time of the crime was he had did it to avoid being discovered that he was a man when he had entered the woman's restroom. He had made a statement to the effect that it was not carefully prepared for the purpose of destruction. If it is recognized as an accidental crime, the sentence can be lowered. So it appears that the statement was made with that argument, but the police determined that it was a plan in itself to avoid being caught. In particular, it is analyzed that Jew is trying to avoid this because the sentences for ordinary murder and revenge murder are more than 2 times different. April 27th, 2023. Death penalty was sought after. July 11th, 2023. Increased sentence to life in prison higher than the original 40 years. October 12th, 2023. He was found guilty of revenge murder and of stalking. The Seoul Central District Court's verdict also required Ju to wear an electronic tracking device on his ankle for 15 years. And with that, I conclude this case. I think that this case is really, really sad, and I wish that it was one of the last stalking cases to take place in Korea, but unfortunately, as we all know, stalking just doesn't go away because laws are put into place. People are just as invasive and creepy and perverted as they always will be. I mean, having laws, not having laws, it doesn't change the way these people think. And I think that the fact that this had changed Korean stalking laws forever is a very impactful case. I think that this is a very big deal, and I don't see a lot of people talking about this case in westernized media. I while doing my research came across the fact that there is only 2 other videos on this subject, which I will also link those down below if you would like to go check those out. Again, I translated most of these articles from Korean to English myself, so some of the translations for this case might be a little bit iffy. If there's anything that's incorrect or anything that I mispronounced, I am sure I mispronounced a couple of those station names, I am sure. Please do let me know in the comments below, and I do apologize. I will get better at pronunciation in the future. If you do like this video, I'm going to be continuing this Dark Asian Crime series on this channel. And if you liked this video or this episode, wherever you're listening at or watching, please hit the follow or the subscribe button. And thank you again for joining me for this episode. This has been Toosiccrimes. I'll see you on the next one.